Graham Linehan, the comedy writer, comedic writer, and he put out some tweets months ago when he was in Arizona, and months later he arrives at Heathrow Airport to be met by 5 armed police. Armed police, not a big deal in the USA, a very big deal in the United Kingdom. 5 of them. And he was arrested and taken away for questioning. He's not even a British citizen. He's an Irish citizen. This could happen to any American man or woman that goes to Heathrow that has said things online that the British government and British police don't like.
Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content. And if you agree with me that free speech is under attack, drop a comment down below. Let's get this conversation rolling. So Nigel Farage testified before Congress, and folks, this might have been one of the most timely, most necessary speeches we've heard in a long time. Now, whether you like him or not, you can't deny that Farage has a way of cutting through the noise and telling it like it is. And what he said wasn't just about Britain or Europe, or even him personally. It was a warning for America, a warning for the West, a warning for anyone who actually believes in free speech.
Thank you, Chairman Jordan, for inviting me here today, and it turns out, with news in the last 48 hours, to have been really rather timely. I'm delighted to reacquaint with the charming Mr. Raskin. It was delightful testimony you gave me earlier on with your speech. But hey, that's fine. You can say what you like. I don't care, because that's what free speech is. And in a sense, this has all been going wrong now for a couple of decades. We've kind of forgotten the Voltairean principles that we'll fight and defend to the death your right to say something that we fundamentally disagree with. That is the absolute foundation, if you think about it, of free speech, of democracy, of living in freedom. It's kind of why we fought 2 world wars at massive, massive cost to defend that very principle for ourselves and for many, many others around the country. And I first became worried about all this with cancel culture. You know, the idea that we can't have this speaker go to a university because some people might be offended by what he or she have to say. It is important to note that there is not a parent in the United Kingdom, and I would guess it's the same for America too, that is not concerned about content their children as minors can find on the internet. Not a single parent that is not concerned about this. But at the moment, we're not finding the right solutions. I do myself begin to think that hardware might be one of the solutions, that laptops, that handsets could be programmed so that many, many apps and many, many services simply aren't available from these devices. But what we've done is to go down the legislative route. And it's extraordinary that, you know, I come from the land of Magna Carta, I come from the land that gave us the mother of parliaments, and it doesn't give me any great joy to be sitting in America and describing the really awful authoritarian situation that we have now sunk into. J.D. Vance did us all a service at the Munich Security Conference back in February this year. He really got this debate up and running, and it's a vital one. We've run on since then. The Online Safety Act was put in place by the last Conservative government. I don't doubt for a minute they're good intentions, but sometimes the road to hell is paved with those good intentions. And we are now where we are. We have a couple of very famous cases. We, of course, have Lucy Connolly, who put out an intemperate tweet after the savage murder of those 3 beautiful young girls, she herself, a mother who had lost a child. It was intemperate, it was wrong, but she removed it 3.5 hours later, sentenced to 31 months in prison. She's now out, having served 40% of the time. I wanted to bring her with me today as living proof of what can go wrong. Sadly, the restrictions that have been put on her banned her from making the trip, which is a very, very great shame. And we, of course, have the extraordinary events that we understood yesterday of Graham Linehan, the comedy writer, comedic writer, and he put out some tweets months ago when he was in Arizona, and months later he arrives at Heathrow Airport to be met by 5 armed police. Armed police, not a big deal in the USA, a very big deal in the United Kingdom. 5 of them. and he was arrested and taken away for questioning. He's not even a British citizen. He's an Irish citizen. This could happen to any American man or woman that goes to Heathrow that has said things online that the British government and British police don't like. It is a potentially big threat to tech bosses, to many, many others. This legislation we've got will damage trade between our countries, threaten free speech across the West because of the knock-on rollout effects of this legislation from us or from the European Union. So I've come today as well to be a klaxon, to say to you, don't allow, piece by piece, this to happen here in America. And you would be doing us and yourselves and all freedom-loving people a favour if your politicians and your businesses said to the British government, you've simply got this wrong. At what point did we become North Korea? Well, I think the Irish comedy writer found that out 2 days ago at Heathrow Airport. This is a genuinely worrying, concerning and shocking situation, and I thank you for the opportunity to come here today.
Thank you, Mr. Well said. In the United Kingdom, there were 12,183 arrests for offensive posts. 12,000 people arrested for things they posted online that some trusted flagger approved by the government, the same government that says what's being said at the Democrat National Committee, we need to take back our country, is hate speech. That's a scary scenario. Is that right?
Yeah, they're massive statistics. And I mean, some of it comes under non-crime hate incidents. So you've said something on social media, someone's taken objection, and you get the knock at the door from the police sort of warning you that if you do this again, something may happen. And this has now been broadened out. I mean, Mr. Price made the point, what is hate speech? How do you define hate speech? And that's the problem, isn't it, with all of these laws,
Yep.
that we finish up in a position where local police forces, etc., have to choose their own interpretations. I think, again, as I said to you earlier, the timing of this hearing today is perfect because the head of the Metropolitan Police, who arrested Graham Lennon at Heathrow Airport,
Yeah.
he's thrown the ball back now to the British Home Secretary and the government to say, please tell us, what is this law intended? What are we supposed as the police to do? So I think we're going to have a much more rapid debate about this. But my worry is it may get worse, if I may quickly.
Yep.
Because the Labour government now are intending to pass a law that has a definition of Islamophobia. They're intending to put that into law. And that effectively will mean that criticism of a religion, mocking of a religion, would become an offence. And that's totally against everything.
Well,
because we've always given the Pope a hard time. We've always given the Archbishop of Canterbury a hard time. So we're finishing up kind of with two-tier law and two-tier justice.
Well,
and that's very concerning.
One other question I'd like to get for maybe you and Mr. Price, if I could. Speaking of religion, tell me what performative prayer is. This is something we've seen and we've discovered in our investigative work. Maybe we'll start with Mr. Price, then go to Mr. Farage.
Yes, sir. We have a client at the moment who's been prosecuted or who was arrested in Bristol for a Christian pastor preaching about the differences between Christianity and Islam. He was then assaulted by a group of people identifying as Islamic people. The police arrived and they arrested him, not the people who assaulted him. This is the state of play in the United Kingdom in terms of free speech. And unfortunately, across Europe, I mean, I have a whole file of cases here where people have been arrested for criticisms of Islam, where they've been prosecuted. So things are getting pretty bad.
Yeah, that extends to abortion clinics, doesn't it? And the abortion debate in Britain and Europe is different to the abortion debate in America. It's in a different place. Mm-hmm. But we have seen people warned or arrested if they've been seen to be praying outside abortion clinics, even if they're doing it silently. Hence, it's performative in the sense they're doing that. And you know, I'm afraid you now have to be a certain distance away from one of these clinics. But if other members of the public object and say that your praying there is causing them psychological harm, well, the police may intervene.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Farage started by pointing out something really basic, yet something so many politicians seem to forget. The very foundation of democracy, the whole point of a free society, is the ability to speak your mind, even if other people don't like it. Remember that old saying attributed to Voltaire? I may disagree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. That's what Farage was reminding us of. And he's right. Our ancestors literally fought 2 world wars to preserve those freedoms. And now, we're squandering them away piece by piece under the banner of safety, civility, or fighting misinformation. Now here's where it gets chilling. Farage laid out just how far Britain has gone down the authoritarian path. Remember, this is the country of Magna Carta, the so-called mother of parliaments. And yet today, people are being arrested, fined, and even imprisoned for tweets. He brought up the case of Lucy Connolly, a grieving mother who made a rash comment online after a horrific crime. Was it a smart thing to post? No, but she deleted it within hours. Didn't matter. She was sentenced to over 2 years in prison. Prison for words she posted online. Then there's Graham Linehan, the Irish comedy writer. He made tweets critical of the woke orthodoxy, went about his life, then one day lands at Heathrow Airport, only to be greeted by 5 armed police officers. 5! Arrested over things he wrote online months earlier. And let's be clear here, Linehan isn't even British. He's Irish. So yes, that means an American could fly into Heathrow tomorrow and face the same treatment if the British government didn't like what they said online. Think about that. Farage came to Congress with a very simple message. Don't let America go down this road. Because if we start legislating speech, if we let misinformation boards and unelected bureaucrats decide what's acceptable, then free speech is gone. And here's the kicker. Laws like this don't just stay in one country. They spread. The European Union pushes them, Britain enforces them, and before long they start shaping policy everywhere else, including right here in the United States. Here's what hit me hardest about Farage's testimony. He wasn't just warning about Britain, he was holding up a mirror to America. Because let's be honest, how many times in the last few years have we seen big tech censor stories? How many times has the White House or government agencies recommended that platforms suppress information they don't like? We're already seeing the beginnings of what Farage is talking about. And unless people, ordinary citizens like you and me, speak up, we're going to end up exactly where Britain is now, where saying the wrong thing online can cost you your job, your freedom, or even your ability to travel. So let me ask you, do you think America is heading down the same road as Britain when it comes to free speech? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I really want to hear what you all think. And once again, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video. If you believe in free speech, if you believe in standing up against cancel culture and government overreach, then spreading this message matters. Because if Nigel Farage is right, and I believe he is, then we're at a turning point. Either we defend free speech now, or we lose it for generations to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.